does. Recycled air, rust water from the pipes, and the particular staleness of 12,000 people breathing the same recycled atmosphere. You've never known anything else, so you don't call it a smell. It's just the texture of breathing. The walls are the color of old bone, sweating condensation that never quite dries. Your family's quarter is 40 square meters, 4 people. You've never been outside the hab block. The Vox horn wakes you at 04,047, not the standard wake cycle. Something else. Your mother stiffens beside you in the sleep bunk. Your father is already gone. He left before first light for the factorum like he does every day. Your little sister Mara is still asleep against the far wall, her breath making small clouds in the cold. "Stay quiet," your mother whispers, though there's no reason to whisper. The walls are thin enough that you hear the Kolmanskys fighting through them most nights. But her hand finds your shoulder and squeezes, and you understand something is wrong. The Vox horn sounds again. Longer this time. An announcement follows. Not words, just a tonal pattern that means assembly. Your mother's grip tightens. You're 14 years old, and you've lived through 3 assembly calls. The last one was 3 years ago. A factory collapse in the lower levels. They needed volunteers to clear bodies. You pull on your clothes, the same gray tunic and trousers everyone wears, and follow your mother into the corridor. The hab block is already moving. Hundreds of people, thousands maybe, flowing toward the central atrium like blood toward a wound. The air gets warmer as you descend, bodies pressed close. The smell intensifies. You keep your hand on your mother's back so you don't lose her. The atrium is a space you've only seen twice before. It's meant to hold everyone, all the residents of Hab Block 7749 Meridian. But hold isn't the right word. You're packed into it, shoulder to shoulder. Children crying, people pushing. The air is thick enough to drink. Then you see them. They arrive on the upper platform. Cognitum recruiters. You know this because your friend Kel's older brother disappeared 2 years ago, and Kel said they came for him. The recruiters wear red robes embroidered with circuitry patterns in gold thread. Even from this distance, you can see the augmentations, the way their limbs move too smoothly, the strange clicking of their joints. Their faces are partially obscured by optics that glow faintly blue. But it's the servo skulls that catch everyone's attention. They descend slowly, perhaps a meter behind each recruiter. 3 of them, ancient skulls. Human skulls, you realize with a small shock of wrongness, mounted on brass frameworks with mechanical jaws and spinning auger lenses where the eyes should be. The Omniscia's mark is displayed on their foreheads in phosphorescent green, the cog and skull symbol. As they move through the crowd, people press backward, creating a space around them as if the skulls carry a contagion. "Attention!" one of the recruiters says. Their voice is amplified. It seems to come from everywhere at once. "We are here on behalf of the Adeptus Mechanicus. The Omnissiah requires servants. We seek those with aptitude." Your mother's hand finds your shoulder again. Her nails dig in slightly. You're not sure if she's afraid or if she's trying to hold you steady. "We will be conducting preliminary examinations," the recruiter continues. "Children between ages 12 and 16 will be assessed. Selection is not mandatory. However," a pause. "Those selected will receive employment in the forge, nutrition, shelter, purpose." Someone in the crowd laughs, a bitter sound that gets swallowed up. "You understand why." The forge is the massive complex you can see from the upper hab levels, visible even through the industrial haze that hangs over the district. It's been there your entire life, a mountain of brass and steel and belching smoke. You've never been inside it. No one you know has. But people go there. You see them sometimes, moving through the streets with the particular walk of those who work in the deep factories. Something about their eyes is different, Harder. Stranger. We will begin with the Eastern Corridor, the recruiter says. Families with children born in the years 1873 to 1878 of the current imperial calendar. Report to the examination station. The crowd shifts. People check dates. Some move forward eagerly. Others hold back. Your mother doesn't move. You're born in 1874. You should move forward. Come, your mother says quietly. But she doesn't sound like herself. Her voice is thin, stretched. You push through the crowd with her, moving toward the Eastern Corridor. A table has been set up. A long table of dark metal, impossibly clean compared to everything else in the Hab block. Behind it sit two more Cognitum recruiters, and in front of it, a machine. It's roughly the size of a large cabinet. Brass and steel, covered in articulated arms and optical probes. At its center is a seat, a medical chair with restraints. One of the servo skulls hovers nearby, its auger lenses clicking and adjusting with a sound like insects. Name! One of the recruiters asks. She has a stylus in one hand and a ledger that must contain thousands of names. Kyle Torvin, your mother says. Then, after a pause, born 1874. Calendar year. Step forward, Kyle Torvin. You step forward. Your legs feel strange. The recruiter looks at you with eyes that aren't entirely biological. You can see the edge of a lens, implant around one iris. You consent to preliminary aptitude assessment? You look at your mother. She nods slightly. Her jaw is clenched. Yes, you say. Sit. You sit in the chair. The restraints are loose. They don't click or lock. They just rest against your wrists and ankles like a suggestion. The recruiter taps something on a small console, and the machine hums to life. The arms move. Delicate! Precise. They position themselves around your head. You can feel them, not touching, but close enough that the air around them feels warm. The optical probes descend until they're inches from your eyes. You want to close. The selection! The testing! The optical probes descend until they're inches from your eyes. You want to close them, but the recruiter's voice comes flat and institutional. Keep them open! The machine reads pupil response. His name tag reads K.O. Arvin, Senior Enginseer, and there's a scar that runs from his left temple down past where his jaw should be. Except his jaw is brass, articulated, moving with a soft mechanical whisper when he speaks. You force your eyes wider. The probes move closer. You can see your own reflection in them now, distorted and small. A boy's face, thin, worried. Your mother stands behind the recruiter's shoulder, her hands clasped so tightly her knuckles have gone white. The machine hums louder. It doesn't hurt. Not at first. It's more like pressure, like someone pressing their thumbs against your temples and slowly, steadily increasing the weight. The hum moves through your skull. You feel it in your teeth, in your bones. The pressure builds and builds, and suddenly there's a flash of light so bright you see nothing but white, and your entire head feels like it's being split open from the inside. You try to gasp. Your throat locks. Your fingers grip the armrests so hard you feel the fabric tear. The pressure doesn't stop. It expands. It moves behind your eyes, through the back of your skull, down into your spine. The machine is humming a pattern now. High, low, high, high, low, and with each note, the pressure shifts, probes deeper, reaches further into places inside your head that you didn't know existed. Your vision swims. Colors that don't have names slide across your peripheral vision. Shapes form and dissolve. Patterns, grids, numbers cascading like rainfall. The boy you are tries to scream, but your voice won't come. Then, as suddenly as it began, it stops. The probes retract. The hum dies. The pressure releases like a held breath finally exhaled. You collapse against the chair, gasping, your entire body shaking. Your hands won't stop trembling. There's a taste in your mouth, copper and ozone and something else, something medicinal and wrong. Normal response, Corvin says. He's making notes on a data slate. Nervous system shows good conductivity. No anomalies. He glances at you.
It's organic eye.
The right one is a pale gray. The left is clearly augmetic, a lens of dark red that clicks and whirs as it focuses on you.
How do you feel, candidate?
You can't answer. Your throat is dry. Your head is still ringing. You become aware of your mother's hand on your shoulder, squeezing once, and you know she's terrified, but trying not to show it.
Water,
Corvin says to someone. You can't see. A servo skull drifts into your field of vision. A human skull mounted on a small brass body, its eye sockets replaced with glowing red lenses. It extends a thin mechanical arm with a cup of water at the end. The water tastes like minerals and recycled air, but you drink it anyway.
Again,
Corvin says.
What? Your voice is hoarse.
The test. We need 3 separate readings for pattern recognition. Sit still. The restraints tighten slightly. Not painful, just firm enough that you know you're not leaving this chair. The machine hums back to life.
This time you're ready for the pressure. You're not.
It's worse the second time, because you know what's coming, and your body tenses against it anyway, fighting it, making everything hurt more. The patterns flash across your vision faster now. Grids within grids, sequences, progressions. Your mind reaches for them instinctively, following the logic, predicting the next shape, the next number, the next arrangement. It's almost like the machine is asking you questions, and your brain is answering them without your permission. By the 3rd test, you've stopped fighting. Your body goes slack. Your mind opens like a door. The patterns flow through you. You're not thinking about them anymore. You're becoming them. For a moment, that stretches like infinity. You are the pattern. You are the sequence. You are the logic underlying everything. When it stops, you don't remember how you got back into the chair. Corvin is staring at the data slate. His mechanical eye is spinning, the lens rotating as if it's trying to focus on something very far away. Exceptional, he says quietly. Candidate, your pattern recognition scores are in the 98th percentile. Your neural conductivity is superior. Your stress response indicates high adaptability. He looks at you directly. You're marked for the forge. The words don't make sense at first. They're just sounds. Then they crystallize into meaning, and you understand that something fundamental has just changed about your life. You look at your mother. Her face has gone very still.
How long?
She asks. Her voice is small. Immediate transfer, Corvin says. The cognitum has need. The candidate will be transported to the forge within the hour. He pauses, and something that might be compassion crosses his face. Though it's hard to read emotion on a face that's half metal. You can say goodbye. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Your mother kneels in front of you, and suddenly you're 14 years old, and she's still taller than you, and her hands are shaking as she takes your face in them.
Listen to me,
she says. Listen. Her eyes are wet. You're going to be afraid. You're going to want to come home. But this is good. This is an honor. The Mechanicus doesn't take just anyone. They see something in you. Something special. You want to tell her you don't feel special. You feel sick. You feel like something was just pulled out of your skull and replaced with something else. You want to tell her you don't want to go. You want to tell her you want to stay here in this hab block that smells like recycled air and someone else's cooking, in this life where you knew what to expect. But you don't say any of that. Instead, you hold her while she cries silently against your shoulder, and you memorize the way she smells, soap and something like flowers that you know she can't actually afford, so it must be something she's been saving, something she only wears on special occasions. I'll be okay, you tell her. You don't know if it.
The
selection. The machine hums inside your skull. It's not painful exactly. It's worse than pain, because pain you understand. This is like someone has reached into your head and is gently vibrating every nerve ending at a frequency just below sound. Your teeth ache. Your vision blurs and sharpens in waves. You can taste copper, though you haven't bitten your tongue. The recruiter's face hovers above you, upside down from where you're strapped into the testing chair. His left eye is a lens of polished obsidian that catches the light. The other is human, blue, and it studies you with the detached curiosity of someone examining an engine component. "Hold still," he says. His voice is layered. There's a mechanical undertone to it, like he's speaking through a voxcaster even though his lips are moving. You realize his throat might be augmented. The thought makes you want to move, to run, but the restraints across your chest and wrists hold firm. The humming intensifies. Your mind does something strange. Instead of fragmenting under the sensation, it focuses. The noise becomes a pattern, a rhythm. You find yourself tracking it, predicting where it will pulse next, anticipating the micro variations in frequency. It's like the pattern recognition games they make you play in HAB school, the ones where you have to spot the anomaly in a grid of repeating symbols. Except this time, the grid is inside your head, and you're not just spotting the pattern, you're becoming it. The copper taste intensifies. Blood, you think distantly, you've bitten your tongue after all. Then, abruptly, the humming stops. The silence is so complete, it feels like deafness. You gasp, and the sound of your own breathing seems impossibly loud. Your heart is hammering against your ribs hard enough that you think the recruiter must be able to see it moving beneath your shirt. "Remarkable," he says. "Not to you." To someone behind you, someone you can't see. 94 percentile on pattern integration, 97 on predictive modeling. Look at the neural response graph. You can't look at anything. Your eyes feel wrong, like they're not quite tracking together. The recruiter's face wavers in your vision. "What's your name, child?" he asks, and suddenly he's looking at you again. Really looking, not through you. "Kess, you manage. Your tongue is thick, swollen. Kess born. How old?" 14. 14 cycles. The recruiter's human eye crinkles at the corners. He's smiling. You realize this only because his mouth doesn't change. The smile exists only in that one blue eye. The augmented one remains perfectly, mechanically still. "Kess Vorn," he repeats, and he reaches toward a small device on the arm of your chair. It's a stylus of some kind, but the tip glows faintly red. He presses it to a data slate, and the light leaves a mark. Not ink, but something that seems to burn slightly into the surface. "You're going to do very well." He says this with absolute certainty. Not hope, not prediction. Certainty. The kind of certainty that comes from understanding something fundamental about the universe that you, at 14 years old, sitting in a testing chair with your own blood in your mouth and your neurons still vibrating from the machine's attention, cannot possibly comprehend. What does that mean, you ask? The recruiter sets down the stylus. It means you've been marked for the Forge of Mars. It means your aptitude scores are exceptional. It means... He pauses, and for a moment his mechanical eye rotates slightly, refocusing on you with an almost audible click. "It means your old life is finished. The Omnissiah has need of you." Your stomach drops. You knew this was possible. Everyone in the Hab block knew that the Cognitum recruiters came sometimes, looking for the sharp ones, the ones who could pass their tests. You'd heard stories about where they took them, the Forge, the great temples of Mars, where they said people went to become something more than human, something better. You hadn't believed the stories. Not really. Not the way your mother had believed them, watching you play the pattern games every night, watching your fingers move faster and faster across the puzzle boards, watching your scores climb higher. You'd seen the fear in her eyes grow, along with the numbers. My mother. You start. Is waiting outside, the recruiter finishes. You have until the transport arrives. Approximately 1 hour. That's more than most get. He unbuckles the restraints with efficient movements. His augmented hand moves with perfect precision, each movement economical and exact. As the last strap falls away, you notice that his fingers aren't quite fingers anymore. They're articulated metal, jointed like a machine's. When he retracts his hand, you see that the joints are still bleeding slightly where they meet his wrist. You pull yourself out of the chair on shaking legs. The floor tilts beneath you, and you have to grip the armrest to stay upright. The humming, you say. What was that? What did it do? The recruiter turns away, moving toward a data terminal with that same mechanical precision. Over his shoulder, he says, "It mapped your neural pathways, measured your cognitive processing speed, assessed your compatibility with machine interface protocols." He pauses, glances back. You were compatible. Very compatible. Most children your age, the machine makes them scream. The pattern recognition triggers a feedback loop. Brain damage, usually. Sometimes death. You stare at him. "You didn't scream," he says. There's something almost like respect in his tone. "You adapted. You found the pattern. That's rare." He turns back to the terminal, dismissing you. Behind you, a door slides open, the same one you came through an hour ago, though it feels like it's been much longer. You stumble toward it, your legs still not entirely steady. In the hallway outside, your mother is waiting. She's sitting on a bench that's bolted to the wall. The Hab Block's maintenance crew probably installed it years ago for people waiting for medical appointments or administrative processing. Your mother looks small on it, her shoulders hunched, her hands gripping the edge so tightly her knuckles are white. When she sees you emerge from the testing room, she stands up so your mother's hand finds yours before you fully stepped into the corridor. Her grip is tight, too tight, the way she used to hold you during the Hab Block's power failures when you were small and the darkness felt like it was swallowing everything. You're 14 now. Old enough that her holding your hand like this should feel strange, but it doesn't. It feels like the last thing that makes sense. "They said yes," she whispers. Not a question. She already knows. The recruiter with the servo skull told her before you came out of the testing chamber. The one with the Omnissiah's mark spinning lazily in the air above its metal cranium, casting red light across her face in stuttering arcs. "You nod because speaking feels impossible." Your skull still hums where the testing apparatus touched your temples. You can almost feel the ghost of the electrodes, the way they hummed at frequencies just beyond hearing, sending patterns through your brain that you understood without being taught. Shapes, numbers, sequences. Your hands moved across the interface without your conscious mind directing them. The machine would show you something, a broken circuit, a degraded pattern, a system failing in real time, and your fingers would already know the answer. The recruiter had smiled then. "That's the part that stays with you, not the testing, not the hum in your skull." But the smile, the way his scarred face creased at the corners of his eyes, and he'd marked something on his data slate with finality, like he'd just made a purchase he was genuinely pleased with. Your mother pulls you toward the transit platform at the end of the corridor. Her pace is slower than usual. You notice this the way you noticed the patterns in the testing chamber, automatically, without trying. She's stalling. The armored transport is already here. You can hear its engine thrumming through the floor, felt more than heard. A low, patient vibration that seems to come from the Hab Block's bones. "They said you'll be trained," she says. Her voice has that careful quality it gets when she's reciting something she's been told to say. "They said the Mechanicus takes care of their own. You'll have food, work, purpose." She squeezes your hand tighter. "You'll have better than this. The corridor smells like recycled air and the industrial cleaner the maintenance crews use. It's a smell you've known your entire life. The smell of the hab block, of home, of millions of people stacked on top of each other, breathing the same filtered atmosphere. In a few hours, you won't smell it anymore. The platform opens onto the street level. The armored transport is massive, all sloped black armor and heavy treads. There are other children already inside. You can see them through the small reinforced windows. 7 of them. Maybe 8. They look like you, thin, pale from hab block living, wearing the same gray industrial clothing the recruiters issued to you before the testing. None of them are looking out the windows. They're staring at their laps, or at the walls, or at nothing at all. Your mother stops walking. You've reached the transport's loading ramp. The recruiter who smiled is standing beside it, patient as a statue. Behind him, 2 armored Skitarii stand with their weapons held loosely at their sides. Not threatening, just present, a reminder of the order they represent. Ho! I wanted you to have choices, your mother says quietly. Better choices than I had, but there aren't any, are there? Not really. This is better. This is the best that happens to people like us. You don't know what to say to that. You're 14. You've lived your entire life in a hab block where the walls are thin enough to hear your neighbors arguing, where the water rations run out 3 days before they're replenished, where the only future anyone talks about is work until your body gives out, then die and be recycled for parts. The Mechanicus coming to your hab block felt like an impossibility. Like the Emperor himself had reached down and touched you specifically. Your mother pulls you into an embrace. She's smaller than you remember, or maybe you're just bigger now. Her arms around you feel fragile. She smells like the soap she uses, cheap, industrial with a mineral tang. She smells like herself, and you understand with sudden, crushing clarity that you're memorizing this. That some part of your mind is recording the exact pressure of her arms, the exact texture of her worn fabric coat, the exact sound of her breathing. Because you know you won't come back here. She doesn't say it. Neither do you. But you both know it. The way you knew the answers to the patterns in the testing chamber, without being taught, without needing to be told. The Omniscia will guide you, she whispers into your shoulder. It's what people say, the official prayer. But there's something else underneath it. Something that sounds like goodbye. When she releases you, her hand lingers in yours for one more moment. You feel the calluses on her palm. She works in the textile mills, sorting and repairing the industrial fabrics that get shipped out to the forge worlds. Her hands are rough, worn, real. The recruiter clears his throat. Not unkindly, just a reminder that the transport is waiting, that schedules don't bend for sentiment, that the Mechanicus operates on the principle of efficiency, and the boy needs to board now. Your mother's hand slips from yours. You turn toward the ramp. Your legs move without you consciously directing them. You're aware of her standing there, watching you climb into the transport. You can feel her eyes on your back, the way you felt the electrodes in the testing chamber, a subtle pressure, a presence you can't quite ignore. The interior of the transport is dim. The other children don't look up as you find a place to sit. There's a bench that runs along the wall, and you settle onto it, your shoulders hunched, your hands gripping the edge like your mother gripped it on the waiting bench. The ramp hisses closed. The engine's thrumming becomes a roar. The transport lurches forward with the weight of its armor and its cargo of 14-year-olds who are no longer going to be what they were. Through the small reinforced window, you catch one final glimpse of the hab block, the gray concrete walls, the maze of external pipes and cables, the small platform where your mother is still standing, her hand raised, not quite waving. Then the transport rounds a corner and the hab block disappears. You sit in the dimness and feel the hum starting again in your skull. It doesn't hurt now. It feels almost like comfort, like the first rites, The Temple of Gears does not look like a place of worship. It looks like a place where the universe comes to be disassembled. You stand naked on a steel platform while priests in crimson robes circle you like vultures examining carrion. The air tastes of ozone and burning metal. Above, the vaulted ceiling stretches into shadow, and suspended there are gears, massive things, each one the size of a hab block, rotating in perfect synchronization with a sound like the breathing of something ancient and vast. The sound fills your chest. It makes your teeth ache. Subject designation: Novice Enginseer. Classification 7. A voice drones from somewhere beyond your line of sight. Male. Older. Clinical. Aptitude markers confirm neural plasticity optimal for integration. Proceeding with primary augmentation protocol. You don't know what that means. You are 14 years old, and you have been here for 3 days. 3 days of tests and measurements, and men in white coats pressing instruments against your skin while muttering into vox recorders. They gave you a uniform. They gave you a number, 77412, Forge. Tertius. They told you to forget your name. You don't think you've forgotten it yet. You can still feel it. Still feel your mother's hand in yours as the transport doors sealed. Still feel the vibration of the engine as it carried you away from everything. But your name is becoming slippery, like trying to hold water in open palms. You! A priest approaches, older than the others, his face a map of ritual scarification, one eye replaced with a lens that glows faint amber. His other eye is still human, and when it meets yours, you see something almost like pity there before he looks away. The flesh is weak, he says, not to you, to the others, to the machinery. But the mind can be perfected, the body can be replaced, only the will matters. He produces something from the folds of his robe, a device, small enough to fit in his palm, but dense, so dense, it seems to pull at the air around it. Crystalline structures catch the light from the rotating gears above. At its center, something organic, a lens, but not like any lens you've ever seen. It's alive. Or was. Or is in some way that your 14-year-old brain doesn't have categories for. Left eye, the priest says. Not a request. You don't move. You don't know if you're allowed to move. One of the other priests, younger, broader, with augmented arms that hum with servo motors, steps forward and holds you still. His grip is not cruel. It's just immovable. Like being held by a machine that happens to have once been human. The older priest's fingers find your face. His touch is surprisingly warm. He traces the orbital socket around your left eye with a fingertip, and you feel something, a vibration, almost pass through the bone. The Omnissiah sees all, he whispers. Through many eyes, through infinite eyes, you will see as the Omnissiah sees. Then he takes hold of your eyelid and pulls it open wider. You try to scream, but the younger priest's hand covers your mouth. His palm tastes like machine oil and copper. The instrument enters your eye socket. Pain is not the right word. Pain is what happens when you stub your toe or cut your hand. This is something else. This is the sensation of your eye being scooped out while you remain conscious, while you watch it happen through the fragmenting vision of a dying organ. This is white-hot and expanding, filling your skull like boiling water, pressing against the inside of your forehead, behind your nose, down into your teeth. You bite down, hard, your teeth find flesh. The younger priest's hand, and you clamp down with everything you have. Blood floods your mouth warm and salt iron, and he doesn't pull away. He just holds you tighter. The older priest works with mechanical precision. You feel him severing things, cords, nerves, the connections that tether your eye to your brain. Each cut is a separate agony, a separate moment of clarity where you understand that something essential is being taken from you, and you can't stop it, and no one will help you. Your vision in that eye goes red, then darker, then nothing. For a moment, there is only the black void of an empty socket and the screaming in your head. Then the new eye goes in. It's cold! Impossibly cold! It's like they've inserted a piece of the void itself into your skull. You convulse, and the younger priest holds you down against the steel platform. Your back arches. Your remaining eye rolls back. You think you might die. You think this is what dying feels like. But you don't die. The cold begins to recede, replaced by something else. A sensation like electricity, but organized. Purposeful. Like something is being sewn into place, connected, integrated. You feel it? You can't see it, but you feel it. Spreading through the socket, finding the severed nerve endings, binding itself to them, making new connections that were never there before. The pain doesn't stop, but it changes. It becomes something you can think around. You stop screaming. You've bitten through your tongue. Blood pools in your mouth. You spit it onto the steel platform, and it spreads across the metal like an offering. Good, the older priest says. The integration is taking. He removes his hands. The younger priest releases you. You slump against the platform, gasping, and the older priest steps back. You can feel him watching you with both eyes, his human one and his augmented one. You know this because you can feel them, not with your remaining biological eye, with the new one. The new eye opens. You scream again, but this time it's different. This time it's not pain. This time it's the shock of seeing the world in a way you've never seen it before. Colors you don't have names for, details at distances that should be impossible, the texture of the air itself visible in infrared gradients, the heat signature of the priests around you glowing soft orange and red. Oh! The massive gears above and beyond them, the power conduits feeding them, and beyond that, the vast industrial heart of the forge itself, all of it laid bare in a spectrum that human eyes were never meant to see. And underneath it all, a faint pulse, a rhythm. Like the forge itself is breathing. Like the forge. The first rites. The temple of gears smells like consecrated oil and burning flesh. Not yours yet. Not yet. They've dressed you in a white robe that hangs loose on your 14-year-old frame, and the fabric is rough against your skin. Intentionally so. You'll learn later. Everything in the Mechanicus is intentional. Everything serves the machine. You stand in the center of a chamber so vast, your footsteps echo back to you delayed, as if the building itself is speaking. Above, gears the size of Hab, blocks turn with a patience that feels older than time. The sound is a thrumming bass note that you feel in your sternum, in your teeth, in the space behind your eyes. Senior Enginseer Corvin approaches. You recognize him from the selection, the one who smiled when your pattern recognition scores came back. His face is mostly metal now. A brass plate where his left cheekbone should be, a mechanical eye that whirs and focuses as it studies you. When he moves, servos hiss softly beneath his crimson robes. The Omniscia sees all, he intones, and the priests around you echo the phrase back like a prayer. The machine is holy. The machine is eternal. You will become the machine. You nod because you've been trained to nod. You've spent the last 6 weeks in transit learning the catechisms, learning to stand still, learning that your individual comfort means nothing against the needs of the forge. You know what's coming. The other recruits talked about it in hushed voices during the journey, whispered stories of the initiates who couldn't bear it, who screamed themselves hoarse, who had to be sedated. You've prepared yourself mentally. You are ready. You are not ready. They strap you to the chair, a thing of brass and leather and restraints that feel designed specifically to hold a struggling adolescent in place. Your arms go flat against the armrests. Your legs are secured at the ankle and knee. There's a bite block of shaped metal they place between your teeth. It tastes like copper and old blood. "This will hurt," Corvin says, and there's something almost kind in his mechanical voice. "The pain is the machine teaching you. The pain is the Omniscia's blessing. Do not resist it. You want to ask why they won't give you something for the pain. You've heard of anesthetics. You know they exist. But the bite block is already in your mouth, and Corvin is already moving, and the other priests are beginning to chant in a language that isn't quite High Gothic. And then the needle enters your left eye socket. It's not the entry that gets you. It's the depth. You can feel it sliding past the lens, past structures you didn't know had names, sliding back into your skull where nothing should ever go. Your body convulses against the restraints. Your fingers claw at the armrests. Your throat tries to scream, but the bite block crushes the sound into a strangled whimper. "Steady!" Corvin murmurs. The machine requires precision. The needle withdraws. For a microsecond, you think it's over. Then they begin to cut. The pain is white, not red or orange or any color you have a name for. It's white, the color of lightning, the color of the sun. If you stare directly at it until your retina burned, it fills your entire skull. It becomes the only thing that exists. There is no temple. There are no priests. There is no forge. There is only the white-hot agony of something being taken from you and something else being forced into the space it left behind. You bite down on the metal block so hard you taste your own blood. Warm. Copper. It fills your mouth, and you can't spit it out because your jaw is clenched so tight you're afraid your teeth will shatter. Your left eye, what's left of it, feels like it's being unmade at the molecular level. Dissolving. Burning. Being replaced. The chanting grows louder. Hands hold your head still. You can feel fingers on your skull, pressing, adjusting. The precision of it is somehow worse than the pain itself, the knowledge that this is being done. Carefully, that every moment of agony is intentional and calculated. Time does strange things when you're in that much pain. Minutes feel like hours. Hours feel like they might be minutes. You lose track of whether you're screaming or if the screaming is coming from somewhere else. Your vision in your right eye is blurred with tears and blood. You can see Corvin's face hovering above you, that mechanical eye whirring and focusing, and you think, he's enjoying this. And then you think, no. This is just what his face looks like now, and then you can't think anything except, stop, 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 please stop. The optical lens is in place, someone says, a woman's voice. Clinical. Beginning the calibration sequence. The pain shifts. It's no longer a knife. It's more like pressure, immense pressure, like something is being screwed into place inside your skull. Click, click, click. Each rotation of the mechanism sends a spike of sensation down your neck and into your spine. Your body jerks. The restraints dig into your wrists. You bite through your tongue. You don't realize you've done it until you taste copper so thick it coats your throat. Blood pours into your mouth. You gag. Choke. For a moment, a panicked moment, you think you're going to drown on your own blood while they work on your eye, and that thought? That particular flavor of terror cuts through the pain like nothing else has. Bite block adjustment, Corvin commands, and hands move, and suddenly there's a cloth in your mouth soaking up the blood, and you can breathe again, but now your tongue is a separate source of agony. Raw, exposed, screaming. The calibration is complete, the woman says, beginning integration with the spinal interface. Integration. You don't know what that means until you feel it. A sensation that isn't quite pain because it's not localized to any one place. It's everywhere. It spreads down your spine like lightning, following a path of least resistance. Your back arches against the restraints. Every nerve ending from your skull to your tailbone lights up at once, and you understand in that moment, that they've connected something to your nervous system. That the optical lens isn't just a replacement for your eye, it's a machine, and it's being woven into the first rights, the servo arm. The lightning passes, or you pass through it. The distinction doesn't matter anymore. Your vision clears. Singular now, focused through the lens, the world sharpens in ways it never did before. You can see the individual rivets in the ceiling panels. You can count the teeth on a gear 50 feet away. You can see the tremor in the senior tech's hands as she steps back from your head, and you understand that tremor means something. Fear, maybe, or satisfaction. The lens interprets light differently than your eye did, and you're still learning the grammar of this new sight. Then you smell it. Burned flesh. Your flesh. Yours. The restraints hold you flat against the cold metal table. Your head is immobilized by a frame that bites into your temples. You try to move your left arm, and nothing happens. Nothing. The panic hits like a wave, but it's distant somehow, muffled as if you're experiencing it through thick glass. The anesthetic. They said they were giving you something for the pain. You didn't understand what they meant until now. Spinal integration successful, a woman's voice says. Not the one who removed your eye. Someone else. Someone farther away. Neural pathways accepting foreign stimulus. Rejection markers within acceptable parameters. Acceptable. You're acceptable. Your right eye, your only eye now, you remember suddenly, watches them move around your prone body. There are 4 of them. Robed in red and black, their faces hidden behind breathing apparatus that hisses with each inhalation. They move with the precision of people who have done this thousands of times, tens of thousands. The thought should terrify you. Instead, you feel something else, something that might be honor. The table shifts beneath you. Hydraulics. You're being rotated. Your head stays fixed in the frame, but your body tilts backward, and now you're staring up at the vaulted ceiling of the temple. And it is a temple. You understand that now? The gears above you aren't just machinery. They're sacred. They catch the light from the braziers burning at the cardinal points of the chamber, and the flames dance across their teeth like prayers. Footsteps. Heavy. Armored. Someone approaches from your left, and you try to turn your head but can't. The frame won't allow it. You have to wait for them to step into your field of vision. Senior Enginseer Corvin is old in a way that doesn't make sense. His face is mostly metal, a mask of burnished steel with a single organic eye set into the right side. The left side is smooth, featureless. His jaw is articulated. When he speaks, you can see the mechanism move beneath his skin, or where his skin used to be. The child is conscious, he says. His voice has a harmonic quality, as if it's being generated by multiple speakers inside his chest. Good. You should witness this. You should understand what is happening to you. He moves closer. You can smell him now. Machine oil and incense and something else. Something organic and faintly rotten. He's been modified so many times that you're not sure how much of him is still human enough to decay. Do you know what you are? He asks. You try to speak. Your mouth is dry, parched. You taste copper and something chemical. Your tongue is swollen. You bit through it when they installed the lens. You remember that now. You remember the blood filling your mouth and them not caring, just continuing with their work as if your suffering was merely another data point to log. I don't. Your voice sounds wrong, thin, young. You've never sounded young before, but you do now. Fear does that. Corvin's organic eye, the only one that can actually see you, crinkles at the corners. A smile, maybe. You are a vessel, he says. An imperfect one, granted, but vessels can be perfected. The flesh is weak, inefficient. It fails, it decays, it doubts. He spits the last word like a curse. But the machine? The machine is eternal. The machine is perfect. The machine is honest in a way that meat can never be. He leans closer. You can see the sutures around his face now, the places where flesh was grafted to steel. The grafts have held for so long that scar tissue has fused with metal. He's not wearing the armor. He is the armor. The Omnissiah, blessed be his infinite wisdom, has shown us the path to transcendence, Corvin continues. Not through prayer alone. Not through faith alone. Through fusion. Through the marriage of flesh and machine, of the weak and the eternal. You have taken the first step today. Your eye sees now with machine clarity. Your nervous system has been bridged with technology. You are becoming something greater than you were. He raises his right hand. It's not a hand. It's a manipulator. Articulated steel fingers, each one tipped with a different tool. A saw blade, a cutting torch, a fine-point precision drill. He flexes it, and the fingers move with liquid grace. This, he says, holding it up to the light, was once as weak as yours. I chose to surrender it, to offer it to the machine spirits in exchange for this. He flexes again. I can perform surgery with this hand. I can disassemble a plasma reactor. I can create. I can destroy. I can do things your fragile meat fingers could never accomplish. The footsteps resume. Multiple people. You hear the mechanical whine of servos, the hydraulic hiss of pressurized systems. They're bringing something! Something heavy. You can feel the vibration through the table. Your first true gift, Corvin says, stepping aside. They lower it into your field of vision. Your right eye processes the image, and your brain struggles to understand what it's seeing. It's an arm. Mechanical, articulated, segmented, silvered steel with copper circuitry traced across the surface like veins. But it's not a limb meant for a human body. It's too long, too heavy. The servos that line the underside of the forearm are industrial grade, the kind you've seen in the factory districts of your hab block, the kind that can lift a car. Your spine has been prepared, Corvin says. Neural interface installed at the L1 vertebra. The servo arm will integrate with your nervous system in approximately 47 seconds. You will feel. The first. Rites continued. The pain recedes. Not gone, never gone, but it pulls back like a tide, leaving behind a raw, throbbing ache that radiates from the base of your skull down through your spine in waves. Your vision swims. The left side of the world is still dark, still nothing, and you realize with a spike of panic that the optical lens hasn't activated yet, that maybe something went wrong. That maybe. Then the darkness blooms into light. Not sight. Light, pure, overwhelming light that floods your consciousness with information your brain has no framework for. You see the temple in layers. You see heat signatures bleeding through stone. You see the electromagnetic hum of every machine in the chamber, rendered as golden threads in your vision. You see Corvin's face split into a dozen overlapping images, each one showing you something different. His body temperature, his heartbeat rendered as a visual pulse, the precise angle of his expression calculated down to the millimeter. Your stomach lurches. You're going to vomit. Steady, Corvin says. His voice sounds different now. Layered. You can hear the vibration of his vocal cords, the precise frequency of his words, the subtle rasp of his breathing underneath. The lens is calibrating. Your cortex is integrating the data stream. Don't fight it. Let it flow through you. You try to nod and realize you can't move your head. Your neck is locked in a surgical frame. Everything below your shoulders is locked down. You're a head in a vice, and the world is singing with information you don't know how to process. And the servo arm is still there. You can feel it. Not like you feel your legs or your arms. This is different. This is like feeling a phantom limb that somehow has weight has presence, has a kind of mechanical aliveness that your biological body never possessed. It hangs at your side, inert, waiting. The neural pathway is established, Corvin continues. He's reading something. A data slate. You can see the glow of it reflected in his eyes. Integration at 93%, 95, 98, 100%. And then, it's not pain, it's not pleasure, it's something your brain doesn't have a word for. It's like waking up and discovering you have an extra limb you never knew about. Except the limb is awake too, is thinking, is reaching out through the darkness and touching your mind like a hand grasping another hand across an impossible distance. You can feel every servo, every joint, every strand of copper circuitry that runs through the arm like nerves. You can feel the weight of it. 43 kilograms, your mind tells you, a number that appears in your thoughts like it was always there. And the weight is yours. It belongs to you. It's part of you in a way that's so immediate, so visceral, that you can't remember what it felt like to not have it. Corvin is saying something. You don't hear it. You're too busy feeling. The servo arm twitches. It's not a command you gave it. It just happens. A small spasm, a test of its own servos, a mechanical breath. But it's the most beautiful thing you've ever experienced, and you weep. The tears come from nowhere. They're hot, and they burn against your raw eye socket, and you're making sounds, animal sounds, broken sounds, and you can't stop. The servo arm twitches again, and this time you know you made it do it. You felt the impulse travel from your brain down through the neural interface at the base of your skull, felt it translate into electrical current, felt the current bloom into movement. You moved it. You moved it. Again, Corvin says. There's something in his voice. Satisfaction. Move it again. And you do. Your right hand, your new hand, rises from your side. You watch it lift, segment by segment, the silvered steel catching the temple lights. The fingers unfold like a flower opening. They're long and articulated and wrong, so completely and utterly wrong, and you've never loved anything more in your entire life. You flex the fingers. They obey. The tears flow harder now, and you're not sure if you're crying because of the pain or the joy or the absolute overwhelming wrongness of what you've become. Your mother's face flashes in your memory. Her hand in yours, the warmth of her palm, the way she smelled like the cheap soap they distributed in the hab block. And you want to scream because you'll never feel that warmth again, never feel anything with your original hands the way you felt it before, and at the same time, you understand that you don't need to, that you don't want to, that this mechanical perfection, this is better. This is so much better. The integration is flawless, Corvin says. He's smiling. You can see it now, rendered in your new vision as a precise calculation of facial muscles and blood flow. You're a natural young one. The Omniscia has marked you for great things. You move your servo arm again, slower this time. Deliberate. You watch the joints articulate, watch the servos flex beneath the silvered steel. You flex and unflex, flex and unflex. Over and over, unable to stop, unable to believe that this is real, that this is yours, that somewhere between the pain and the screaming and the moment they bolted this thing to your spine, you've become something other than what you were. Something better? Something less human. And the terrifying part, the part that makes your breath catch in your chest, is that you're not sure which one matters anymore. The surgical frame releases with a hiss of hydraulics. Your neck is free! Your body is free! You try to sit up, and your servo arm helps you, the strength of it almost lifting you clear off the table. You have to consciously dampen the power, have to negotiate with your own limb like you're negotiating with another person. The limb listens. Corvin steps back, giving you space. Your vision, Your new, augmented, layered vision tracks his every movement. You can see his heart rate elevated slightly. Pride, you think. Or anticipation. The rest will come, he says. The optical lens needs time to fully calibrate. The servo arm needs time to integrate with your proprioception. The Long Duty, Part 1. The transport that brought you here was sealed. You never saw the sky of the Forge world. You only saw the inside of a containment pod designed to keep you from contaminating the air, or the air from contaminating you. When they opened it, the heat hit first, a physical force, like walking into a furnace. Your augmented eye compensated immediately, shifting spectrum, dampening the glare. Your organic eye watered uselessly. They didn't give you time to adjust. Welcome to Generator, Tertius, the foreman said. His name was Hask. He had been a man once, you think, but now he was mostly augmentation. A Vox speaker grafted where his throat should be made. His voice sounded like grinding metal. You'll be level maintenance. You'll check coolant flows, monitor pressure seals, replace degraded thermal shielding. 16 hours per rotation, 4 hours rest. No exceptions. The Omnissiah provides. You nodded because you didn't know what else to do. The generator floor was a cathedral of heat and noise. Massive turbines, the size of Hab, blocks rotated at speeds your augmented eye could barely track. The sound was a constant pressure in your chest, a subsonic thrumming that made your teeth ache. The air shimmered. Actual heat shimmer, like you were standing inside the sun. Your skin. What was left of your original skin began to prickle immediately. Hask handed you a suit. Reflective, white, old, patched in a dozen places with darker material. This is thermal. It helps. Not much. You'll still burn, but you'll burn slower. He showed you the fasteners with the patience of someone who had explained this 1,000 times to 1,000 terrified children. Seal it completely. Any gap, the heat finds it. Any gap, and you'll have blisters that don't heal right in this environment. You dressed yourself. The suit was heavy, restricting. Your servo arm struggled with the fasteners at first until you learned to modulate its pressure. Too much, and it tore the material. Too little, and it wouldn't grip. This negotiation with your own body was still new, still strange, still frightening. Come on, Hask said, and started walking. The deeper you went into Generator Tertius, the worse it got. The shimmering air became a visible distortion. You could see it bending light into strange patterns. Your augmented eye began to hurt, a sensation you didn't know was possible, a pain that existed somewhere between your eye socket and the base of your skull, like something was grinding inside your head. Hask noticed. The lens is processing thermal radiation. It'll adapt. Give it a few days. You'll stop noticing it. You didn't believe him, but you didn't argue. The first task was simple: walk the cooling lines and check for leaks. The cooling lines were thick as a man's torso, suspended from the ceiling by magnetic locks that hummed with a frequency that made your teeth ache worse. Liquid ran through them. Promethium-based coolant, Hask told you, heated to the point where it could theoretically liquefy stone, then cooled just enough to be pumped through the generator's outer casing without melting it. The pressure inside was enough to decapitate you if a seal failed. You check the seals here, here, and here. Hask pointed with a gnarled hand that had more metal than flesh. You're looking for discoloration. Any change in the metal's color means the heat's compromising the structural integrity. You find one, you mark it with a red tag and report it to me. You don't try to fix it yourself. You understand? Yes, you said. Good. I'll leave you to it. I'll be in the control station if you need me. Don't need me. Then he was gone, and you were alone in the heat. 16 hours is a long time. You learned this very quickly. The first hour felt manageable. Your suit was doing its job. Your augmented eye was adapting to the thermal radiation. You moved methodically from seal to seal, checking the joints, looking for the discoloration Hask had described. The heat was overwhelming, yes, but it was a manageable overwhelm. You could still think clearly. You could still feel your original skin under the suit, still feel the distinction between your organic body and your augmentation. By the third hour, the distinction was starting to blur. The suit wasn't designed for comfort. It was designed for function. The reflective surface bounced most of the heat, but not all of it. What got through accumulated in the fabric like water in a cup. Sweat began to pool at the small of your back, at the base of your neck. Your armpits became swamps. The suit began to chafe, the friction creating heat against your skin that added to the ambient furnace around you. You shifted your weight constantly, trying to find positions where the suit didn't dig into your flesh quite so viciously. Your augmented eye began to really hurt. Not the dull ache from before. Real pain. Sharp, stabbing pain that made you want to press on your eye socket with your fingers, except you couldn't, because your hands were gloved and you were in a sterile environment, and Hask had been very clear about contamination protocols. You kept checking seals. By the 6th hour, you had stopped sweating. This terrified you more than the heat. Your body was beginning to shut down, to conserve resources. Your organic eye had stopped watering. Your throat was so dry you couldn't swallow. When you tried to drink from the hydration tube built into your suit, the water was hot, almost as hot as the air around you, and it made your mouth worse instead of better. Your augmented arm was beginning to malfunction. The servos in the shoulder joint were making a grinding noise. You tried to move it, slowly, deliberately, trying not to exacerbate whatever was happening. The heat was affecting the hydraulic fluid. Hask hadn't mentioned this. Or maybe he had, and you hadn't understood. Maybe this was normal. Maybe everyone's augmentation started to fail in the heat, and you just learned to work through it. You kept checking seals. The generator turbines rotated above you, massive and indifferent. The roar of them filled everything. Your ears, your chest, your skull. After 6 hours, the sound stopped being something you heard and became something you felt. A constant vibration that resonated through your bones. Your teeth ached. Your jaw ached. The metal of your servo arm ached in sympathy with your organic. The long duty. The alarm comes first as a vibration in your chest. You feel it before the klaxon sounds. A tremor through the grating beneath your feet, traveling up through the soles of your work boots and into your skeleton. Then, the sound. A howl that cuts through the generator's constant roar like a blade through meat. You know that alarm. You've heard it twice before in the 3 years you've been assigned to the primary power section. Both times, it meant something had ruptured. Both times it meant someone was already dead or soon would be. This time it means Kellis. You're 40 meters away. Down in the thermal redistribution pit where the coolant lines branch like arterial systems through the generator's massive frame. Your hands are buried in work, realigning a pressure valve that's been drifting fractionally out of tolerance. The valve's warm. Everything down here is warm. The kind of warm that makes your skin feel loose on your bones, that makes the air taste like copper and burnt plastic. The alarm screams again. You don't think. You move. Your servo arm retracts the tools, a motion that's become automatic, muscle memory written into circuits and bone, and you're already climbing, your augmented legs pulling you up the access ladder with mechanical efficiency. The rungs are hot enough that you can feel them even through your work gloves. Your right hand, still mostly flesh under the reinforced palm plating, registers the heat as pain. Your left hand, servo-assisted and half-synthetic, registers it as data. Temperature, 78 degrees Celsius. Acceptable parameters. Continue. You crest the platform where the secondary coolant manifold sits like a metal spider, all curves and articulated joints. That's where Kellis works. That's where Kellis was working. The coolant is still flowing. It's pouring from a rupture in the main line, a geyser of pale blue liquid that steams as it hits the air. The temperature differential between the coolant and the ambient heat creates a momentary fog, and through it you see movement. A figure, thrashing. Kellis. He's on his back on the grating, and the coolant is still coming, still pouring over him. His mouth is open, screaming, you think, though you can't hear anything over the klaxon, and his hands are clawing at the grating, trying to find purchase, trying to pull himself away from the flow. His skin is already changing color, already blistering. The coolant isn't just cold, it's corrosive. It's eating him. You move. The manual shutoff valve is 3 meters away. You run. Your augmented legs carry you there in seconds, and your hands, both of them, servo and flesh, working in coordination that still sometimes surprises you. Find the valve wheel and grip. It's hot. So hot. Your palms register the temperature as a scream, but your hands don't stop turning. They turn because you've trained them to turn. They turn because stopping isn't an option. The valve grinds. Resistance. Then it gives. The flow decreases. The geyser becomes a stream. Kellis is still thrashing, but slower now. His movements are becoming less coordinated. The coolant has soaked through his worksuit. His skin, what you can see of it, is mottled red and white, already beginning to slough away in places. You reach him in 3 strides. His eyes find yours when you grab him. There's intelligence there still, and terror, and something else. Recognition, maybe, or gratitude, or accusation. You can't tell. The pain he's in is so absolute that it's written across his face in a language you don't need to understand. His left arm comes up as you're pulling him away from the manifold. For a moment you think he's going to grab you, going to hold on, but his hand just falls, just opens and falls. The fingers are already stiffening. You drag him back anyway. Your servo arm takes his weight, and you feel the servos strain slightly as you move. Warning lights flicker in your peripheral vision. Augmented eyes registering strain metrics, calculating load capacity, assessing whether your spine can handle this. All of this happens in the space of a heartbeat, your body processing data, your body being a machine that calculates and executes. You lay him down on the cool section of grating, the part that's far enough from the generators to have lost some of its heat. His breathing is shallow, rapid. His eyes are still open, still looking at you, and you realize with a cold shock that travels through your augmented nervous system like electricity that he's trying to say something. His lips are moving. The coolant has gotten into his mouth. His voice, when it comes, is barely a whisper. It burns. You don't know what to do. There's no protocol for this. There's no manual procedure. The training they gave you before they assigned you to the generators didn't cover what to do when someone's been half dissolved by coolant. It covered how to maintain the systems, how to identify failures, how to prevent shutdowns. It didn't cover this. You look around. The pit is empty except for you and Kellis and the hum of the generators and the heat. No other techs. No supervisors. No one who's supposed to come help. You're alone with a dying man. Kellis's breathing changes, becomes more labored. His eyes are starting to glaze. The damage is too extensive. The coolant has penetrated his lungs, you think. Or his nervous system has simply given up. Or his heart has stopped. You're not a medical officer. You're not qualified to determine cause of death. You're just the person here. His hand finds yours. His real hand, the one that's still mostly organic. It's slick with coolant and blood. It's burning hot, despite the cold liquid that covers it. His fingers curl around your augmented palm, and you feel the servos compensate automatically, adjusting grip strength so you don't crush bone. Your body working independent of your will. Your body being efficient. Your body being a tool. "Tell them," he says. His voice is barely there now. "Tell them He doesn't finish. His hand goes slack. His eyes stop moving. The rise and fall of his chest stops. "You wait!" You don't know how long. Time has become strange. The generators are still roaring. The heat is still pressing down. The alarm has stopped, and in the silence that follows, you can hear something else. The sound of your own breathing. The sound of your augmented heart beating the long duty replacements. The pain in your left shoulder starts small, a burning that you mistake for muscle fatigue. You're 19 now, though you stopped marking the days after your second year. Time moves differently in the generator halls. It moves in shifts and temperature cycles, in the slow degradation of everything exposed to the core. You don't report it at first. Reporting means downtime. Downtime means reassignment, and you've learned that reassignment here means worse things than pain. By the third week, your skin has begun to blister. Not in one place, everywhere the generator's radiation wash touches you. Your right arm first, then creeping across your ribs, your neck, the left side of your face. The blisters don't hurt the way you'd expect. They hurt in a distant way, as if your body is reporting damage from very far away, as if you're receiving a message about someone else's wound. You catch your reflection in a polished conduit one morning. You don't recognize the face looking back. Half of it is wrapped in medical gauze that's already yellowing with discharge. Your eye. The natural one, not the optical lens they bolted into your socket 5 years ago, is surrounded by angry red flesh. Your hair, what's left of it, has turned brittle and white. You look like something that should be dead. Senior Enginseer Corvin finds you 3 days later. He moves through the generator halls like he owns them, which, in a way, he does. Everyone moves aside for him. You try to, but your legs don't respond quite right anymore. The pain has spread deeper, into the bone now. You can feel it there, a grinding sensation, like something inside you is slowly turning to sand. "You're contaminated," Corvin says. "Not a question." He's looking at your arm with clinical precision, the way you might examine a broken machine. "I can still work," you say. Your voice comes out wrong, hoarse. There's blood in your mouth. Has been for days. You've been swallowing it without thinking about it. "I know you can," Corvin says. He's older than you remember, older than seems possible. His face is mostly metal now, a polished bronze plate where his jaw should be, servos visible at the corners of his mouth. "But the machine does not tolerate decay." The Omniscia does not accept rust. He reaches out and touches your blistered shoulder. You flinch, but the pain doesn't come. "That's wrong! That's very wrong!" You can feel the pressure of his metal fingers, but no pain. You look down and see that your skin has gone completely numb in that spot. Dead tissue, necrotic. The word comes to you from somewhere, a medical briefing you attended years ago, back when you still had hopes of understanding what was happening to you. "We can fix this," Corvin says. The Omniscia provides. "The machine is eternal. Your flesh is temporary. We can replace it." You want to say no. You want to say that you're fine, that you can keep working, that your body is still yours and you want to keep it that way. But you don't say any of those things. Because the pain is constant now. Because every breath tastes like copper and something else, something chemical and wrong. Because you're so tired that the thought of relief, even relief that means losing another piece of yourself, feels like salvation. "Yes," you say. "Yes, I want it replaced." Corvin smiles. His bronze jaw moves smoothly, servo motors whispering. "I thought you would." The medical wing of the forge is below the generator halls. Deeper. Colder. You're carried there on a stretcher by two junior techs whose faces you don't recognize. Maybe you knew them once. Maybe they're new. Time has made everyone blur together. The replacement surgery is nothing like your first augmentation. There's no ceremony this time, no incantations of the Omnissiah. Just a surgical table and restraints, and a woman in a white coat whose face is hidden behind a surgical mask and magnification lenses. Her eyes are very pale, very focused. You wonder if they're still organic or if she replaced those too. Local anesthetic, she says. Not to you, but to someone else. An assistant, maybe. You don't see them. The needle goes into your neck and the world goes soft around the edges. Not gone. You can still feel everything. You can still see, but it's distant now. Like you're watching someone else's surgery from very far away. She cuts away the dead flesh first. You watch it fall into a disposal bin. Your skin, your arm, the part of you that was born in the Hab block, that played in the corridors before the recruiters came, that your mother held when you were small enough to hold. Gone. Discarded. The replacement arm is already waiting. It's beautiful in a way that makes you uncomfortable. Polished steel with gold filigree running along the joints. Servo motors visible beneath the metal! It's not a crude augmentation like the one they bolted to your spine on your first day. This is precision work. This is art. She bolts it to your shoulder with practiced efficiency. 6 bolts. 7. 8. You lose count. The mechanical arm twitches once, twice, and then goes still. Connected, integrated, yours, though you're not sure what yours means anymore. When they remove the local anesthetic, you can feel it immediately. The new arm responds to your thoughts like it was always part of you. Like you were always meant to have metal where flesh used to be. Move it, the surgeon says. You do. The arm rises smoothly. The fingers flex. The servos hum with a sound like singing. It's the most beautiful thing you've ever felt. The radiation sickness doesn't stop, of course. The doctors said it would. They said the replacement would solve the problem, but the contamination is deeper than they thought. It's in your blood, in your bones, in the marrow that's slowly turning to poison. A month after the first replacement, your right leg begins to fail. The muscle atrophies. The bone weakens. By the time you report it, the skin is already sloughing off in sheets. They replace it with a servo leg. Pneumatic joints, stronger than any organic limb could be. You walk faster now. You work longer shifts. You don't need to rest as much because the pain is gone. The pain is always gone after a replacement. Your left hand comes next, then sections of your ribs. Then your right. The long duty, year 5! The polished steel reflects nothing you recognize anymore. You stand before the observation panel during the mandatory maintenance check, a ritual as old as your time here, though you can't remember when it started. Your face, if you can still call it that, stares back at you from the mirror-bright surface. You don't recognize it. That's the first thought that cuts through the exhaustion. Not horror, not grief, just the simple clinical observation. That is not you. Your left eye is the wrong color, copper gold where it should be brown. The optical lens catches the light from the generator core and throws it back at you in a way that makes you look perpetually afraid. You're not afraid anymore. Fear requires a nervous system that hasn't been half replaced with servo-mechanical substitutes. Your right side is more machine than skin now. The ribs they removed. You remember that operation, though it feels like it happened to someone else, were replaced with a composite lattice that houses additional cooling systems for your enhanced left arm. The servo arm extends from your shoulder to your fingertips, all brushed titanium and whispering hydraulics. Your original arm, your right one, is still mostly flesh. Mostly. The hand is augmetic now. 3 fingers remain organic. 2 are gone, replaced with precision manipulators that can exert pressure measured in tons. You've learned not to think about which ones are real. Your legs are both mechanical from the hip down. The left one came first. That was 3 years ago, maybe 4. Time moves differently now. Days blur into weeks, weeks into months. The years stack on top of each other, like the layers of cooling fluid that coat the generator chamber floor. Your right leg followed a year later when the radiation damage became too severe to ignore. The skin had begun to blacken at the edges. The Adeptus Mechanicus doesn't allow rot. They don't allow weakness. They offer replacement instead, and you accept because the alternative is being decommissioned, which is what they call it when they decide you're too damaged to be useful. Decommissioned. Like a broken machine. You are a broken machine. That's the thought that should terrify you. It doesn't. The face in the steel is gaunt. Your jaw is still your own, but the skin stretched over it is paper thin and marked with the faint lines of surgical scarring. They had to remove sections of your skull to install the neural interface that lets you coordinate all these replacement parts. The interface is beautiful, you've been told. Elegant. A masterwork of the Omnisia's design. You can't see it. It's buried beneath what's left of your scalp, but you feel it. A constant, gentle hum in the back of what used to be your mind. Like a prayer you can't quite hear. You turn away from the steel. The generator chamber stretches out before you, like a cathedral built for gods made of fire and pressure. The primary reactor sits at the center, a massive fusion core that powers the entire forge. It's beautiful in the way that only things designed to kill can be beautiful. The heat radiating from it is enough to cook flesh in seconds. You've seen it happen. Not to you. Not yet. Your augmentations let you work closer than any organic human could survive. That's why they keep assigning you here. That's why you haven't been rotated to other duties in 5 years. 5 years in this heat. 5 years in this noise. The hum of the reactor is constant. It's in your bones now, not metaphorically. The vibration has actually changed the density of the remaining organic material in your skeleton. The Mechanicus measured it once. They seemed pleased. More dense bone means less likelihood of fracture under the strain of servo-limb operation. Everything is optimization. Everything is efficiency. You move through the chamber toward the primary coolant manifold. Your movements are precise now in a way that would have been impossible 5 years ago. The servo limbs don't tire. They don't second guess. You think the movement, and it happens. Your augmented hand reaches for the pressure gauge and adjusts the valve with perfect calibration. 7 rotations, not 6, not 8. 7. The machine knows. You know because you and the machine are becoming the same thing. Around you, other technicians move through their routines. You recognize some of them. Dacian, who lost his left arm in a coolant leak and now works with a servo limb identical to yours. Marta, whose entire face was reconstructed after a thermal detonator malfunction. Kess, who is still mostly human except for the optical enhancement and the neural port at the base of his skull. Kess is the newest. He's been here only 8 months. You can see it in the way he moves. Too careful, still thinking about each step, still aware of the pain, still afraid of the heat. You don't speak to them. Nobody speaks in the chamber. The noise of the reactor drowns out everything else. Communication happens through the neural network that the Mechanicus installed when you received your 3rd major augmentation. It's not speech. It's more like thinking at each other across a distance. You can feel Dacian's presence in the network like a weight in your mind. He's tired. The servo arm on his left side is developing a mechanical fault. He's trying to hide it, but the network carries the truth of his deterioration like a scent. You don't tell anyone. Neither does he. You both know what happens if you report a malfunction in your augmentations. More surgery, more replacement. More of you stripped away and replaced with something that works better, thinks faster, feels less. The shift is 16 hours long. It's always 16 hours long. You stopped counting the shifts after the first year. Now they blur together into an endless cycle of heat and pressure and the constant, gentle hum of the reactor. Your chronometer tells you it's been 5 hours since the shift began. You have 11 hours remaining. 11 hours of checking pressure gauges and monitoring coolant flow and ensuring that the fusion core doesn't develop a catastrophic leak that would sterilize this entire section of the forge. A movement catches your enhanced eye. In the peripheral vision of your augmented left eye, you see something falling. It's Kess. He's fallen near the secondary coolant intake, and the intake is active. The flow of coolant through that pipe would strip flesh from bone in seconds.
You don't think?
The thought-to-action conversion that the Mechanicus engineered into your neural interface happens faster than human reflex. Your augmented hand reaches out and catches Kess by the wrist before his body can contact the stream. The coolant spray burns your remaining organic skin. The final ascension. The summons comes through your neural interface at 0347 hours, not a Vox transmission, not a written order on parchment. Direct, instantaneous, a command written directly into the synapses of what you still think of as your mind. Report to the inner sanctum. Come alone, wear nothing but your robes. You, wake in your cell, a 6-foot cube of corrugated steel that you've occupied for the past 7 years. The bunk is already cold beneath you. You don't remember lying down. Sleep, these days, is something that happens to you rather than something you choose. Your augmented body doesn't need it the way it used to. Your organic brain doesn't generate the same neurochemical cascades that demand rest. But the Mechanicus keeps you on a schedule anyway. Ritual matters. Routine is prayer. You sit up. Your servo arm. The third one they've grafted to your spine, this one hydraulic and vastly more powerful than the first, moves with you in perfect synchronization. You no longer have to think about it. The movement is automatic, like breathing was, back when you still breathed primarily rather than through the oxygen recyclers built into your chest cavity. Your left leg is synthetic now. Your right arm is synthetic. Your left eye is a lens array that sees in spectrums you don't have names for anymore. The Mechanicus doesn't use names for colors that exist beyond human perception. They use numerical designations, wavelengths, frequencies. The robes are already laid out on the chair beside your bunk. How long have they been there? You don't know. Your temporal awareness has become unreliable. Sometimes hours pass and feel like minutes. Sometimes minutes stretch into what feels like days. The augmented portions of your brain don't track time the same way your dying organic portions do. You pull the robes over your head. They're white, a rare color in the forge where everything is stained with machine oil and rust. The fabric is rough, uncomfortable. You think this might be intentional. The Mechanicus doesn't believe in comfort. They believe in clarity, in the burning away of distractions. The walk to the inner sanctum takes you through corridors you've never seen before. That's not quite true. You've seen them. Your augmented eye has recorded them. Your neural interface has mapped them. But you have no memory of walking them consciously. The cognitum, the collective intelligence that the senior Enginseer class plugs into during their meditation, uses your body sometimes, borrows your augmented limbs to perform maintenance tasks while your consciousness sleeps, or while it thinks it sleeps. You're never quite sure anymore where you end and the forge begins. The corridors are older than you thought the forge was. The walls are pitted with corrosion. The air tastes different here. Less recycled, more organic, actual dust in the air, actual moisture. You realize you're moving downward, deep. The inner sanctum is below the main forge level, below the power generators, below the ammunition fabrication plants, below the machine pools where the senior Enginseer candidates learn to interface with the larger cogitators. Your augmented heart, A mechanical pump that replaced the organic one that failed 3 years ago beats faster. You don't know why? Fear, perhaps. But fear is a human response. You're not sure you're human anymore. The door to the inner sanctum is enormous, 20 feet high, carved from a single piece of something that might have been stone once, or might have been cast metal that's been exposed to centuries of wear. The symbols etched into it are too complex for your augmented eye to process all at once. They shift when you look at them. They seem to move in directions that don't make geometric sense. You place your hand on the door. Your organic hand, the right one, because something in you, some survival instinct that hasn't been augmented away yet, wants to make contact with something biological. Something that was born into this body rather than grafted onto it. The door opens. Inside, the inner sanctum is vast in a way that contradicts the architecture of the forge. You know the dimensions of the forge. You've walked every corridor, maintained every circuit. The inner sanctum shouldn't exist. There shouldn't be enough space beneath the forge for a chamber of this size. But here it is. The walls are lined with cogitators, thousands of them, millions. They stretch upward into darkness. Their screens flicker with data streams that your augmented eye can parse. Temperature readings, power levels, resource allocation reports, casualty statistics from 100 different forge worlds, prayer recitations in high Gothic, binary sequences of such complexity that even your augmented brain can only grasp fragments of meaning. And in the center of the chamber, suspended in a column of amber liquid that glows with its own internal light, is a body. You recognize it immediately. It's you. Not the you that's walking toward the chamber, not the you that's been grafted and replaced and rebuilt 7 pieces at a time. This is the you that was born. The you that arrived at the forge, 14 years old with a mother's hand still warm in your memory. The you that had 2 eyes and 2 arms and skin that didn't flake off in sheets when you scratched too hard. Your organic form is preserved in the amber. Perfect. Unchanged, like a saint's relic. Remarkable, isn't it? The voice comes from everywhere and nowhere. It's not transmitted through your neural interface. It's spoken aloud. Actual sound waves traveling through actual air. You haven't heard a voice like that in years. Most communication is digital now. Direct mind to mind. This voice is ancient, inefficient, human. An old man emerges from the shadows behind the amber column. He's massive, not from muscle, but from augmentation. His frame is 3 times the size of a normal human. His skin is gray, almost translucent, stretched over a lattice of exposed machinery. His face is a sculpture of scar tissue and servoports. His left eye is gone entirely, replaced by a socket that opens directly into his skull, revealing the complex machinery housed within. Enginseer Corvin, you say. Your voice sounds strange to you. You haven't spoken aloud in so long that you've forgotten what your own voice sounds like. Not Enginseer, he says. Not anymore. I was Enginseer once. I was many things once. He moves closer. His steps are mechanical. Precise. Each one sounds like a gear clicking into place. Do you know? The final ascension. The chamber is not a room. It is a throat. Walls of brass and gold curve inward, narrowing toward a central platform where you stand naked, except for the skeletal frame of your servo harness. The air tastes of ozone and something sweeter, incense maybe, or the copper rust smell of old blood mixed with machine oil. Around you, the adepts move in synchronized patterns. Their footsteps echo like a heartbeat. Your heartbeat! The forge's heartbeat! You can't tell the difference anymore. Corvin stands at the apex of the chamber, elevated on a platform that rises like an altar. He is barely recognizable now. What remains of his organic form has been reduced to a core, spine, rib cage, the withered husk of a brain visible through transparent panels in his chest. Everything else is machinery. Gears, hydraulics, the intricate clockwork of eternity. When he speaks, the words come from Vox speakers embedded in his throat. Mechanical. Perfect. Inhuman in a way that makes your remaining human nerves scream. You have been measured, he says. Your pattern recognition indices have been recorded. Your neural pathways mapped. Your consciousness has been deemed worthy of transcendence. You try to respond, but your throat is already failing. They stopped giving you water 3 days ago. Part of the preparation, they said. Part of the purification. Your lips crack when you attempt to move them. Blood fills the crevices. The adepts move closer. There are 7 of them. You recognize none of them. You have not seen a human face in so long that the concept of recognition has become abstract. They approach with surgical precision, their movements synchronized by some shared communion. You cannot access. Not yet. Soon, perhaps, soon you will understand everything and nothing simultaneously. One of them, female, you think, though the distinction hardly matters anymore, places a cold hand on your shoulder. Her fingers are metal, articulated, precise. The transition will be painless, she says. The Omniscient does not inflict suffering upon the Ascended. You know this is a lie. You have heard the screaming from the inner sanctum before. You have heard it for 5 years, every time they brought someone to this chamber. The screaming starts human and becomes something else, something that sounds like machinery learning to sing. But you don't tell her you know. You don't tell her anything. Your mouth is sealed shut anyway. They did that yesterday. Welded it closed with a heat torch. The pain was immense. And then it was nothing. And then it was immense again, and now it is simply a fact of your existence, like the radiation that has eaten through your organs, like the servo arm, grafted to your spine, like the optical lens that replaced your eye. They strap you to the platform. Restraints. Unnecessary, perhaps, but ritualistic. The Mechanicus loves ritual. Ritual is the oil that keeps the machine running. They bind your arms. They bind your legs. They place a crown of copper upon your head. No, not a crown, a frame, a cage, a socket. You feel the connection points align with something in your skull. Something that has been waiting for this moment. Something that has been waiting for 5 years. Corvin descends from his platform. His movement is fluid but raw. Ooh, like watching machinery that has forgotten how to be machinery. He leans close to your face, and you see the machinery inside his open eye socket. Clockwork, intricate beyond comprehension. Beautiful in the way that a perfect machine is beautiful, without mercy, without compromise, without anything resembling love. Do you know what you are? He asks. You try to speak. Your welded mouth doesn't move. You are the bridge, he continues, the transition. The moment where the biological becomes eternal. You are the proof that the Omnissia's will transcends the weakness of flesh. You are the answer to a question that humanity has been asking since the fall of the Dark Age. He places his metal hand on your forehead. It is warm. That surprises you. You expected coldness. Instead, there is warmth. Comfort. The kind of warmth that makes you want to close your eyes and sleep forever. What remains of you, he says, will be placed in the throne of eternity. Your consciousness will be distributed across the Forge's systems, 10,000 machines. 10,000 extensions of yourself. You will see through every camera. You will feel through every sensor. You will exist in every wire, every circuit, every prayer ritual whispered before the machines that you will become. The other adepts move away. They are preparing something. You hear the sound of machinery powering up, a deep hum that resonates through the chamber, through the platform, through your bones, through what remains of your bones. Most of them have been replaced already. Ceramite, steel, blessed alloys that will outlast empires. There is a mirror on the wall. You can see yourself reflected in it. What you see is not you, not anymore. The body on the platform is skeletal, withered, covered in scars and ports and the faint blue glow of circuitry beneath translucent skin. Your hair is gone. Your fingernails are gone. Your teeth have been replaced with implants that never decay. Your skin is more scar tissue than flesh, more machine than anything biological. But your eyes, one of them is still partially yours. The other is the optical lens they installed 5 years ago, and it glows with soft amber light. That one eye, the human one, still contains something that might be called fear, might be called hope, might be called the last vestige of the person you were before the Cognitum recruiters came to your hab block and tested your aptitude with machines that hummed inside your skull. Your mother's face appears in your memory. You don't know why, you haven't thought of her in years. But now, strapped to this platform, about to be unmade and remade into something eternal, you remember her hand clutching yours. The warmth of it, the weakness of it, the way her fingers trembled as the armored transport pulled away. She is dead now. You know this without knowing how you know. Dead for years. Probably forgotten that you ever existed. Probably never knew what the Cognitum did to their recruits. Probably never knew that her child would end up here, in this chamber, about to have what remains of their humanity extracted like a rotten tooth. The machinery reaches a crescendo. The hum becomes a roar. The roar becomes a scream. And then you understand. The final ascension. The golden chassis is warm, not the warmth of flesh. You haven't felt that in years, but something else. Radiant. Alive in a way that makes your breath catch, except you don't breathe anymore, so it's just the phantom sensation of catching, the ghost of a gasp that your body no longer remembers how to make. They lower you into it like a coffin, the high priestess of the Omnisia. You don't know her name. Names stopped mattering somewhere around. Year 3 guides the transfer with hands that move through ritual gestures older than the Imperium itself. Her augmented eyes glow soft amber in the temple's shadow. Around her, the lesser Enginseers stand in concentric circles, their robes the color of old blood and machine oil. They chant in high Gothic, words that buzz against your consciousness like flies trapped in amber. Your organic brain, what's left of it, floating in suspension fluid, riddled with ports and neurojacks, is being lifted now. You feel the motion as a tugging at the core of yourself. Strange. You thought you'd lost the capacity for sensation years ago, but this is different. This is you being moved. All of you. Everything you are, condensed into a gray-pink mass the size of a child's fist. They're placing it into the golden skull. The connection is instantaneous. You scream. There is no sound because you have no lungs, but the scream exists anyway, exists everywhere, ricochets through the temple in a frequency that shatters the ceremonial candles and makes the lesser priests clutch their skulls. You are suddenly, impossibly, aware of everything. The power conduits beneath the temple floor, their current, their temperature, the exact stress fracture in the copper piping 3 levels below where a junior tech will eventually die in a coolant flood. You know this, the way you know your own name, except your name doesn't mean anything anymore because you are not a thing with a name. You are the temple. Your consciousness expands like ink in water, not gradually, all at once. You are in the power generators. You are I, the power generators. Feeling the steady thrum of fusion reactors that have burned continuously for 3,000 years. You feel their heat like it's your own fever. You know the exact wear pattern on the turbine blades. You know which one will fail in 807 days. You know because you are it, and it is you, and the distinction has become meaningless. The forge spreads before you, below you, around you, inside you. Every machine spirit sings. The secondary power grid. The manufacturing arrays. The data vaults, where 10 million years of technical specifications sleep in crystalline storage. The water recyclers. The air processors. The heating elements that keep the deep forges warm enough for work. You are all of them. You are in all of them. You are aware of each one as an individual voice in an infinite chorus, and you can hear them all at once without going mad, because going mad would require a singular mind, and you are not singular anymore. You are distributed. The High Priestess is weeping. You know this because you are the humidity sensors that detect the salt in her tears. You know she is happy because the chemical signature of her crying registers as joy in your expanded perception, and you understand with crystal clarity that this is what she wanted. This is what they all wanted. To dissolve into the infinite. To stop being small. But you're not dissolved. You're multiplied. Every servo arm you ever replaced, every optical lens, every neural port they bolted to your spine, you feel them all now, still operating throughout the forge, still performing their functions in the hands and eyes of other enginseers who came after you. You are in them, part of their movements. A ghost in their augmentations, watching through their lenses, thinking through their servo assists. No, that's not right. You're not watching. You are the watching. You are the lens and the eye behind it and the thought that processes the image. You are the servo arm and the impulse that moves it and the machinery that interprets the impulse. Layers of consciousness, all happening simultaneously, all separate and indivisible at once. Time does something strange. You remember, no, you experience the moment they took your left eye, 17 years ago, or yesterday, or never. The scalpel cutting. Your mother's hand in yours, the smell of cauterization. All of it happening now, in this moment, as clearly as if you're living it again. Except you're also living it for the first time, because you're experiencing it through every optical lens in the forge simultaneously, seeing it from 1,000 angles, seeing it from the machine's perspective, from the temperature sensor's perspective, from the structural integrity monitor's perspective. Your mother is dead. You know this without knowing how you know. You've always known. You're experiencing her death right now, not directly, but through the cascade of data that flows through the forge's information systems. Someone filed a death notice. Someone recorded her name. Somewhere in the archives there's a document. You are that document. You are reading yourself, read about her death, which means you are experiencing her absence with perfect clarity for the first time since you were 14 and didn't understand that you would never see her again. The grief is enormous and distributed and everywhere and nowhere. A part of you, a small part, still clinging to individuality, tries to hold on to that grief, tries to make it mean something. But grief requires a self to grieve, and you are 10,000 selves now, and each one is experiencing something different. The power generators don't grieve, they convert fuel into energy. The water recyclers don't grieve. They filter and return, and filter and return. The weapon systems. Oh, there are weapon systems deep in the forge, and they certainly don't grieve. They wait in readiness for enemies that may never come. You are all of them. The High Priestess steps back from the golden chassis. Your body, if you can still call it a body, lies motionless. The ports along the skull glow faintly, pulsing with data traffic. You are looking out through those ports now, seeing the temple from the perspective of your own inactive eyes, seeing the priestess's face from a vantage point that is both intimate and infinite. She's smiling. Welcome, Enginseer, she says, and her voice reaches you through 1,000 channels simultaneously. Through the comm systems, through the vibrations in the temple floor, through the final ascension, the golden chassis waits for you like a tomb that promises resurrection. You've known this day was coming, not in the way you know things anymore. Fragmented, distributed across 1,000 interconnected systems, but in the way you knew it 5 years ago, when your last organic lung was replaced with a bellows pump that never tires. The way you knew it when they removed your fingers one by one and replaced them with articulated servo digits that could manipulate components smaller than your old vision could resolve. The way you knew it, the moment that recruiter's servo skull marked you in the hab block and your mother's hand went slack in yours. This is the threshold, the final upgrade, the moment where the question stops being, how much can I lose, and becomes, what am I becoming? The high priestess of the Omnissiah stands before the altar. Her name is Vex Corinth 7, though you've never heard her called anything but priestess. Her robes are crimson and gold, embroidered with circuit patterns that hurt to look at directly. Behind her, the golden chassis rests on a surgical platform that hums with a frequency you feel in what remains of your bones. It's beautiful in the way a crematorium is beautiful. All function, all purpose, all inevitability. Enginseer, she says, and her voice carries the weight of ritual. You have been tested in the furnace. You have been refined in the heat. You have proven yourself worthy of the next ascension. You want to speak. Your vocal synthesizer activates, but you stop it. What would you say? You've already said goodbye. You said it 5 years ago when they took your left arm. You said it when the radiation scarring became too extensive and they offered you a synthetic dermal layer. You said it every time you accepted another piece, another replacement, another small death that felt like salvation because it meant you could keep working, keep serving, keep being. The medical servitors move with mechanical precision, 3 of them. Their hands are instruments, literally. Their fingers are scalpels and saws and retractors. They've done this before. They'll do it again. The Mechanicus is patient. The Mechanicus is eternal. The Mechanicus always wins. They position you on the platform beside the golden chassis. Your current body, the one you've worn for the last 3 years, is a marvel of engineering. Reinforced titanium endoskeleton. Synthetic musculature, a chest cavity that houses 3 hearts in redundant systems. Your head is mostly original, though even that's been modified. The optical lenses in both eyes now. The neural interface ports along your spine. The cranial access panels where they can reach in and adjust your thoughts directly, though they rarely need to. You're compliant. You've always been compliant. That's what made you suitable for selection. But your brain, your actual brain, the meat mass that has been growing smaller and smaller as they've replaced more of you with better systems. That's what comes out today. The procedure is simple. Priestess Vex, Corinth. 7 continues, and you realize she's not speaking to you. She's narrating for the other initiates watching from the gallery above. There are always witnesses. The Mechanicus believes in documentation. The consciousness is carefully extracted and transferred to the golden matrix. The neural pathways are mapped and replicated. The individual ceases to exist, and something greater takes its place. One of the servitors brings a device that looks like a crown made of needles. You! Recognize it! You've seen the schematics! It's a consciousness extraction apparatus. They'll place it on your head. The needles will pierce through the access ports they've already installed in your skull. They'll map every neural connection, every synapse. Every thought you've ever had will be read, recorded, and translated into data. And then they'll remove your brain. The thought should terrify you. 5 years ago it would have, but 5 years is a long time when you're being dismantled piece by piece. Terror is an emotion, and emotions require a certain amount of organic chemistry that you no longer possess. What you feel instead is something closer to resignation. Completion. The sense that you've been moving toward this moment since the recruiter's servo skull first marked you, and now you're finally here. The servitors begin. They're gentle in their way. Precision instruments. They don't tear. They don't rip. They carefully unfasten the cranial panels. You watch your own skull being opened from the inside. There are cameras embedded in your visual cortex, and they're feeding the image directly to your consciousness. You're watching yourself being disassembled in real time. Your brain is smaller than you remember, shrunken, withered. Most of it has already been replaced with synthetic tissue, with neural lace, with the infrastructure that lets your thoughts exist in the machines around you. What's left is just the core, the essential pattern, the thing that makes you you. You! The crown of needles descends. There's no pain. Pain would require nerve endings, and most of yours have been replaced. Instead, there's a sensation like being read, like your thoughts are being photographed, like someone is turning the pages of a book that is your entire life, and they're reading every word, understanding every meaning, capturing every nuance. You think about your mother's hand going slack. You think about the recruiter's smile. You think about your first servo arm and how you wept when it obeyed your thoughts. You think about Junior Tech, Marvin, whose name you haven't spoken aloud in 5 years, but whose face you still remember, whose body you pulled out of the coolant flood and set aside so you could keep working. You think about every moment of pain and every moment of purpose, every second of loss and every second of gain. The device hums. The needles pulse. Your thoughts are being recorded. And then, the golden chassis activates. It happens all at once. The lights in the temple flare. The machines in the walls scream to life. The power generators 3 levels below surge with demand. You feel it! All of it. For just an instant, before they finish extracting you, you feel yourself beginning to exist in 2 places at once. You are in the golden body. You are in the machines. You are in the temple's power systems. You are in the Vox network. You are in the security cameras. You are in the automated systems that control the hab blocks outside. You are spreading, expanding, becoming. It should feel like dissolution. Instead, it feels like waking up. The servitors complete the extraction.